Well, the U.S. is still the biggest economy in the world, but maybe not for long. That's just one of many themes in Joseph Quinlan's new book. It's called The Last Economic Superpower, The Retreat of Globalization, The End of American Dominance, and What We Can Do About It. Quinlan is an economist and currently the chief market strategist at U.S. Trust Bank of America Private Wealth. He joins Matt and me in studio. Joe, good to have you here with us.
My pleasure.
So first of all, why write this book?
Well, I thought it was important to tell the story post the crisis, where the U.S. stood today relative to the rest of the world, and also relative to the rest of the world, how quickly China and India are coming up the ranks in terms of being economic powers.
How much China and India, their growth has been astounding for a while now. How much did the crisis have to do with sort of changing roles? Was it a flashpoint?
I think it was, Matt, in a sense. It was a credibility test. You saw China and India come out of the crisis in pretty good shape. Their confidence has grown. They're now being more M&A players. They're financiers. They're big traders. So the crisis really boosted their confidence, and I think it has a swagger that I think it's going to carry over.
Well, and I guess it gave them a chance to continue to finance us in an even stronger way, right?
And we needed it, yes, coming out of the crisis. So, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
But you know, most folks will say, yes, we need China, but China also needs the United States.
Absolutely, Carol. And so does India, so does Brazil, and so does Russia. So the question is, can these new partners work together with the old partners?
What struck me, though, you're right, that the West is no longer in control of the global economy, and the rest of the world knows it. So there is, though, a dramatic shift going on, and everybody knows it.
I hope everyone has figured that out. Sometimes in Washington, I don't think they've gotten the memo that, China wants to speak more at the table, have a bigger. The G20 is really kind of the test case. This is the test tube for new global policy making. So, and I think it's a different landscape for the U.S. to really operate in.
Are there headwinds, or are there risks ahead for us if we don't, realize this, or is there a way for us to operate better within this paradigm?
I think there is, Matt. There's risk, like when you talk of the currency wars, protectionism, investment protectionism, Doha, no one talks about, the climate change agreements. So there are risks that we don't work together.
Well, we saw today the WTO rejecting China's complaints against the U.S. for the dumping tires, right?
Right, and that's going to be an ongoing issue between the United States and China about the currency, about specific sectors.
I mean, there's a lot of issues that are going to go on for years between the two countries. I'm just curious, because you do talk about kind of an economic Cold War in this book. Is that where we're going, or you're saying that's where we could go and we've got to avoid it?
That's one of the paths, the economic Cold War, where countries kind of turn inward or regionally. The U.S. is kind of outside looking in. We're kind of left behind, so to speak, when it comes to finance and trade. You're seeing the European Union do a lot of more free trade agreements in Asia. But the other flip side is globalization reincarnated, and I do think we're on the cusp of new globalization, but it's not going to be led by America. It's kind of Brazilian, Chinese, Turkish characteristics.
Well, you do say here what we can do about it. Do we sort of play with this phenomenon, work with China, or do we try and build up forces to defend our position?
Well, we do. We work with the Chinese. We work with the sovereign wealth funds. But here at home, there's a lot we can do. We've got a great manufacturing base that needs to be retooled. We need education. We need to remain the innovative technology leader. So there's a lot we can do. Our federal budget deficit and the debt, you talk about it every day. That's a big issue as well. So there's a lot we can do to get our own house in order, and also help and work with the Chinese and the Indians, and they really expand the global pie.
I mean, what do you think Americans need to kind of get ready for as things kind of change here?
Well, I think we just get ready that we don't have to be the biggest guy at the table telling everyone what to do. That we need to kind of share ideas, listen to other folks, and help them, and listen, and really have promote global common ground. And I think that's a different tack for U.S.
What about the jobs concern? I mean, we were listening to a lot of what Bernie Sanders had to say on Friday during his very long speech.
Hard to ignore.
He was concerned with Jeff Immelt and General Electric playing into other job markets. He was concerned with John Chambers saying he wanted to make Cisco a Chinese company. I mean, clearly there are jobs that have gone overseas that we're not going to get back, and maybe we don't even want back at the pay level.
Right. But Matt, think about this. There's outsourcing, there's insourcing. We want the Chinese companies to come here and make cars or refrigerators, batteries, or turbines, and so forth. So I think it's a two-way street. And I think we got to remember that the United States, we outsource, we send a lot of production overseas, but there's a lot of production coming to the U.S., and we need to encourage that.
We're talking a lot about the United States, but you also stress the importance of Japan and Europe gap in all of this, that they have to kind of, I think, reestablish themselves as credible global partners. This is key also.
Absolutely, Carol. And in a sense that for the last 50 years, 60 years, standing shoulder to shoulder with the United States has been Japan and Europe, really defining the global framework that we participate global commerce.
Because I think so many people have written off Japan in some ways sometimes.
But it's still one of the largest economies in the world, a lot of cash, still great companies, a lot of opportunity there. The EU the same way. I mean, it's around 25% of world GDP. We can't have them fail.
By the way, Michael Feroli from JP Morgan was on earlier, and he said it's not a zero-sum game. You know, we can still do well, and they do well. You do say the last economic superpower, so you're not saying that sort of China rises up and takes over our position. You're saying it's more of a multiplayer game now.
It's multipolar, absolutely, Matt. I don't see anyone usurping the United States or a new economic superpower emerging for another maybe couple of decades here, if then. And the United States, we can remain big and powerful, but at a bigger table with other players.
You know, it's funny because you're talking about, I'm thinking about Warren Buffett, who stresses the entrepreneurial spirit of the United States, and he said that continues to set the U.S. apart. Do you think that changes going forward? Just quickly.
No, I don't think it'll change, Carol, but we just got to be ready for competition. Competition makes you stronger, not weaker.
All right.
All right, Joe, thanks so much for joining us. Joseph Quinlan there from U.S. Trust Bank America.